Hi, this is Tom. Welcome to my channel. I'm going to show some slides here that I did with Gemini and talk a bit about the workflow. So this was a series of 15 slides featuring Immanuel Kant. And I got the idea a few days ago about trying to develop something that had the look and feel of a picture book, like Light magazine might have done back in the day, where on the left side of the left page you've got text, and the right page you've got pictures. And I've been stress testing, or starting to, the development of these slides, and I've gotten up to 15 slides that it can do. And let me show something here. If I go to where I have the slides, this last one that I did here with the 15 slides is this one I'm highlighting. So you can see this is 40 meg. So that's huge. This is compared, look at these other HTML files. They're like 45K. But these ones with the slides are megs in size. And the reason for that, I'll show that in a moment. Okay, if we come here, the way that this works is it has, it's calling, Gemini is calling an image creator that it has, Google has. So it calls that and creates the image. Now, I wanted to have this outside of the canvas. For a while, I thought I'd only be able to view it in the canvas. And I mean, it's cool. Even this way, it's cool to do it because you can interact with it in the chat, ask it to build the slides, and it'll create it for you. So that's good. But I want to be able to do it, in the web page. And ran into a couple of problems. So one thing was it's using an API key. So if I'm calling it from HTML, I'm calling it outside of the chat session that I have. So that involves a separate methodology where you're making the calls, through Gemini. Now, Gemini, and there's a number of the models that have free keys you can use. And I may talk about this some other time because it's a lot of fun to develop these web pages that are interactive, and it's not difficult to do. So it's using a key in the chat session to call and get it, but Gemini doesn't have a free plan for generating images. So each image would cost about 4 cents to create, but there's a free workaround that Gemini figured out and told me about, so that was nice. And what it is you click this copy button, and I actually had to split this into 2 pieces because it was so large. I was having a problem with it, so I asked it, is it possible to have 2 buttons, one for part 1 and one for part 2? And he said, it's entirely feasible. And it says, that anyway, it did it and it worked. So let me show you the file itself, just to get an idea of how crazy this is. So let me go ahead and open up Notepad. Okay, and here is the file. And you can see it takes a while for it to load. And again, that's because it's 40 meg. And if I go through this, you'll see a bunch of gibberish. So this is when you click on the button that says copy part 1, copy part 2, it's serializing the image. So that basically means it's writing out in this manner that you're seeing here. So it's in like in binary, in a way that a computer can read it and understand it. So the computer is reading this, and then as it reads that, then it generates these images. These aren't the same ones. These are ones I was showing from a different slideshow. But it's the same exact process where it's serializing the image, so writing it out into text, and then the browser can render the text as image. Very, very cool. So this is one part of it, and if anyone is interested, let me know, and I can go into detail about exactly how to prompt Gemini to do this. Now, another thing I wanted to talk about is another piece of this, and what I'm using for this. Some of the slides, like it just did on its own, to where I just gave it a topic and it wrote out the slides for it. And then other ones, I gave it source material for it to do it. So I'm going to talk about that. So for this one, I use Notebook LM. So here's Notebook LM. And this notebook is about philosophy. And the slideshow that I showed you was from Kant. And so this report was created through reports, and the report is giving instructions for how to create the slides to Gemini. Now Gemini can't see. You connect Gemini to the notebook. So if I go here on Tools, it's got notebooks. I thought it was on Tools. Tools. Wonder why that's not showing. Let me try one more time. Well, this is very odd because it should show notebook. So if I hit this plus here, there's notebook right here. So if it's a plus, there's no plus here. So this looks like it's got some sort of glitch. The plus isn't showing. But anyway, when you start it up, you'll see a plus, and you can choose Notebook LM. And then here it has a list of your notebooks. So I chose this one, and that's where it got the material from. Now, interestingly, Gemini can't see any of this studio stuff. It can only see these sources. So I copied and pasted the report that I showed you and made it into a source on the left side so it could see it, and then that's what I used to generate the slides. Okay, now to create the report, I used an AI. I'm pretty sure I used Cloud Code. So yeah, I must have. So Cloud Code, and I didn't even know about this. So Cloud Code told me about, like, to do it this way, and did it. So it created a prompt for the reports. So when you click on reports, you can do create your own, and then it created the report, which explained to Gemini how to create the slides. And I actually created this entire notebook with Cloud Code. And that's something I'll talk about in another video in detail. But just to show real quick, if I go to Agent Test, so Cloud Code can read and write to this folder, the subfolders. And in this notebook here, or folder, this is the workflow for creating a notebook. And I have tasks that it reads from, so I'll show one. So in this task, it'll tell it what the topic is, the fall of Constantinople. And there's a design pattern that it follows. This says how many videos it has. And then this is guidance on how to create the notebook. And this is quite involved, the workflow, but it does the whole thing from soup to nuts, and it's quick too. It can create, I don't know how many notebooks. I've done 4 or 5 in one fell swoop with the videos. It only takes 3 or 4 minutes to do the whole thing. So that's pretty neat. And now it takes Notebook LM time to create the videos. So for it to do its part, each video takes about 8 minutes maybe to create. So the whole process takes a while, but the cloud code part of it is very quick, and the whole thing is kicked off. So what I would do would be, I would just move the task that I'm interested in from staging to tasks, and then Cloud Code would create the notebook, or the notebooks, and then the notebooks would create the videos. That's a basic idea. But all I do is move it and tell Cloud to go, and then it does it. And it would it would be possible, this is something I'm going to work on, is to have it work just by moving the task. I don't even have to tell Cloud to go. Eventually we'll get that working. But anyway, once Cloud just reads the thing, and the whole process kicks off, and then after a while there's all these notebooks with videos. So very, very cool. And last thing I'll mention is that I'm going to add, so right now I'm doing this kind of piecewise because I was testing it, but this last piece about creating the report and then copy and pasting and moving it here, I'm going to add that to the workflow for the notebook. So all I'll need to do will be go to Gemini and connect it, and then it can create the slides. And eventually we'll have that automated too. So the whole thing ought to be able to. That's the cool thing about these being able to use the AI as agents now. It can do the work, of creating the notebooks and the slideshows and all of these things. And it's not very difficult to do. It's let's see how to. Let me explain a bit. It's not difficult to get it set up. I'll put it that way. It does take some know-how to set up the workflows, like just software principles. I'll put it that way. But the AI is getting better and better at it, to where if it's something that new that you don't know about, you can ask the AI to teach you, and it should be able to do that pretty well. Anyway, I intend to have other videos where I'll go into detail about how to actually set these things up. Well, I hope you found that interesting, and thanks for watching. Until next time.